Hello, friends.
Hi, everyone. It's the middle of the month already.
Can you believe it?
No, it goes quickly. There's a lot going on the month of May.
Always, yes.
Every single year. And I noticed this morning as I was walking, the smells of spring. Have you ever stopped to just smell around you? The fragrance of different trees that are blooming, or just a flower that's blooming, a very intense smell. And as I walked on the sidewalk right into the shop door, I come in, I said, oh, there's something that smells so fragrant out here. And you said it's the geraniums. Well, we have a table of scented geraniums that one of our herb friends brought in, as she does every springtime. And it is just full of scented geraniums. Now, scented geraniums are something different than most people will grow, probably.
They're a different genus than our regular geraniums, I think.
Right, they are. And you don't have to plant them into the garden, into the soil. You can just put them into a pot and then bring them in the wintertime because they are not winter hardy.
Yeah, but you can enjoy the scent then of rubbing their leaves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just rubbing the leaves is just wonderful. They will smell anywhere from rose to spice to lemon.
Yeah, citrusy.
Yes, just wonderful. And in the wintertime, I think there's nothing as wonderful as on a dreary day, rubbing the leaf of a lemony or a rose scented geranium. That fragrance just will pick you up.
A little aromatherapy in the wintertime.
And we do need that sometimes. So we do have some scented geraniums for sale, and they'll be out there for another weekend.
Yeah, May is such a sensuous month. I always think of May as being the most sensuous month with the smells and the air and the sounds and the colors, especially now that we've had so much rain in May and April, that everything's just so very lush.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, sensuous.
It truly is. The peonies blooming, everything.
The roses are beginning to bloom. Yes.
Everything.
It's absolutely marvelous. And of course, we rely on the bees for pollination. And this coming Monday, May 20th, we celebrate World Bee Day. And it's celebrated May 20th of every year. And I think it's so important for us to really take a moment to recognize how very important bees are. If you enjoy a cup of coffee, peaches, dates, tomatoes, cashews, and so many other foods, and we enjoy seeing wildflowers and the plants that surround us. And so we all rely on pollinators. About 3/4 of all native plants in the world require pollination by some animal, most often an insect, and most often of the insects, a native bee. So not just the honeybees, but our native bees. And pollinators are responsible for 1 in every 3 bites of food we take. That's how much we rely on bees and pollinators. Many native bees, when we think about bees, a lot of times we think about honeybees, but I want to really talk about the native bees because our native bees are so critical. And did you know that many of our native bees are smaller than a grain of rice? They can be quite tiny. And we don't even know them all. Of the approximately 4,000 native species of bees in the United States, 10% have not even been named or described. We don't even know them all. And they're disappearing probably more quickly than we can find them all. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting our native bee populations. And about 1/4 to 1/2 of native bees are actually pollen specialists. And that means that they only use pollen from one species or genus of plant. So if that plant can't be found, then those bees die out. And so it's important, again, for us to plant native plants to help support those bees. And a lot of times when we think about Bee Day and helping support the bees, we're thinking about keeping honeybees. But in cities, even though keeping honeybees may sound like a great idea, they actually compete with the native bees for food in a place where there's not a lot of food in the city. And so really what we ought to do maybe a little bit more of is make sure that we're planting native plants, nectar producing plants, especially native ones, not using pesticides, which of course kill the bees and make the plants inedible for the bees. And we really need to be able to have food for the bees and replace non-native plants and shrubs with native species and plant wildflowers wherever we live, even if it's just in a really small area. Adding even just a few native flowering plants to just even the smallest yard can help out a little bit. And if we all do something to help out, then that makes a big difference. We want to make sure that we're preserving the wild spaces too, because those are habitats that not just the native bees, but other insects need as well. So this coming Monday, celebrate World Bee Day, and post it on your Facebook page or your social media and let people know why it's so very important that we don't just celebrate it, but we take steps to help preserve a very important part of our entire ecosystem that we all depend on.
But they're just part of the insects that we have around, and we're losing so many insects all the time.
And a lot of people are like, oh, insects, I don't want insects, but insects are part of the food chain.
They are.
If insects don't thrive, then the rest of the food chain, including us, don't thrive either. And, birds that we love to see too, they rely on insects. It's all just part of one big ecosystem that we need to recognize that all of it's important.
We are all connected.
We are all connected. Exactly. So important.
And there is another day that we're to celebrate next week, and that is
International Tea Day, which is the next day right after World Bee Day. And that's Tuesday, May 21st. And every May 21st, International Tea Day is celebrated. And of course, it's to celebrate the tea plant, really, Camellia sinensis, which is been growing for over 4,000 years. It's grown in really warm, hot countries like India and China. But for us as herbalists, we consider International Tea Day for us to be all different kinds of tea, including herbal teas, which we love.
It's every day for me, I think.
For sure.
I cannot go a day without my hot cup of tea in the morning. And that's one with some black tea in it because it gives you a little caffeine boost. And I absolutely love our Gray's Flower Garden tea.
Yes,
it's one of those delicious teas. So that starts my day, and I could not go a day hardly without it.
Well, and tea's the world's oldest beverage. I mean, if you think about putting a plant in water, is probably something that they did, thousands and thousands of years ago, and it's so much healthier than people say drink more water. Well, drinking water is great, and if you add some healthy plant material to your water, it becomes a health drink then.
Add a couple petals of rose. And a few leaves of your lemon balm.
You bet.
Fabulous.
All kinds of teas can really help boost your health and help keep us healthy and ward off disease. And we want to give you a few tips for excellent tea on this International Tea Day. First one is use high quality loose herbs. A lot of people like to use tea bags, but those tea bags, your water extracts things, and those tea bags always are made with some plastics, because if they were just paper would fall apart in your water, of course, right? And what are they held together with? Well, those pillow tea bags that have glue all around the edges are held together with glue, and PVC glue, no less. And that is extracted into your water, and you don't want that. And plus, when the herbs are broken down so small in tea bags that really you're not tasting any of the herb because they degraded a long time ago. The more you break an herb down, the more it degrades, the more quickly it degrades. And so what you're really tasting are the oils that they're using, the flavoring oils. And so that's not very helpful. Make sure you have loose leaf tea, that you can see the herbs floating around and you know what you're putting in your tea, you know what you're getting. And you want to make sure that they're organic, of course. And that's especially important if you are drinking the Camellia sinensis plant, which is what we get white tea, black tea, and green tea from, because those are grown in places that many times still use DDT even, and really powerful pesticides. And even here in the United States, we use pesticides that, of course, we would not probably want to ingest. And so organic is always best. Another tip is to use filtered water. We always say use a filter or be the filter, and filtered water helps your tea taste better because water is full of fluoride and pharmaceutical contaminants and all different kinds of things. Never use aluminum or copper, because those are reactive metals, and those can interact with herbs to create a potentially toxic beverage. And so you want to make sure you're using stainless steel or glass when you heat your water or your tea. And the last one is steeping time. When you're drinking tea that's from the Camellia sinensis plant, the white tea, black tea, or green tea, those need to come out of the water in about 3 to 4 minutes, or they'll become bitter. But all of our other herbal teas need to be steeped covered. All teas should be steeped covered. Herbal tea should be steeped covered for at least 20 minutes so that you can really get the herbal benefits into the water. So enjoy your tea on every day, and especially on International Tea Day.
So think about it. International Tea Day was you're drinking your tea or any
You
day.
bet. And again, another opportunity on your social media to spread the word. Tea
Yes.
is wonderful and it's good for you, and we love it.
Well, this has been a magical spring in many ways. We had the eclipse.
Yeah.
And then a few days ago, maybe some of you were fortunate enough to see the aurora borealis.
Yeah.
And it went so far south, which was fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see some pink in our area. However, the people that went north of our city saw a lot more.
Yeah, some of our relatives in Nebraska really had some beautiful pictures.
Yes.
My daughter in North Carolina had
Beautiful
some amazing pictures. Yeah.
Oh, it's just magical.
Magical.
And for every 20 years, maybe we get to see something like this. So anytime we have a chance to see something like that, we really need to celebrate that.
For sure.
And another thing that adds magic to our lives, making that little fairy garden. I mentioned it last week. I hope all of you have had a chance to possibly make a little flower garden, either for yourself or for your grandchildren, or just something just to enjoy. It's just a fun thing to do. The other thing I wanted to mention today was another page in my book. It's so hard to find balance in life, whether it's with our family, with our work, play, friends, whatever. We just don't seem to have time for everything that we want to do. And I think probably at this time in my life, I find more time. But when you're younger, we're going 100 miles an hour, and it's just tough to find any kind of a balance. This is a little stitchery that I had done called Balance. It actually shows a darker side and a lighter side. One's busy, one's not busy. The busy side, I put in lots of little stitches, and so the other side represents actually doing nothing, relaxing, finding a place of peace, whether it's out in nature or whatever. And so it's a good one to look at and do that would make us meditate on the purpose of balance in our life. And I hope you all find balance in your life as much as you possibly can, because it is tough, I know. And so we'll close with this little quote from the May chapter of my book that says, "A morning glory at my window satisfies me more than most anything else."
Beauty is medicine.
It is. And so with that, we'll plan to see you next week.
Good earth blessings to you.